So, the Indiana Fever, they have made some huge moves. Absolutely huge moves. And honestly, right now, the way things are going, it's looking like they're gonna make some more. Or maybe one more. And if you guys agree with this, subscribe. We're trying to hit 41,800 subscribers by the end of the day. We're 48 off. That would be unbelievable. It'd be absolutely unbelievable if we could do that. And if you guys think that the player I'm going to talk about is a player the Fever should go for, subscribe. But anyway, we've got to talk about it because the Indiana Fever, they did this. They basically went and traded the number 8 pick in the draft for the sake of it. They just didn't want that pick. And as far as cap space is concerned for the Indiana Fever, the Fever have about $170,000. They have a not near max, but they've got a Katie Lou-esque contract that they can spend. So they are able to go and do something big. Or they can do one of two things. They can either go and make a huge splash in free agency and sign somebody now, or because they have the a second round pick instead of a first round pick, they'll be able to potentially bring in that second round pick, cut Christy Wallace, and then you have 108k left over. So they're going to have that amount in cap space to spend. And maybe you do go and bring in an overseas player, or you can either spend that 108k, use the 19th pick, cut Christy Wallace, or you can use the 19th pick, keep the 188k, and then midway through the season after Eurobasket, cut Christy Wallace or Saxton, one of those two, and use the 108k for the salary. And I think there are three options really that they can do. In my opinion, one of the first options should be the obvious one, and it's getting in free agency a player that would fit in seamlessly. Is a 3, but will be able to, in a certain systems and certain lineups, be able to play the 4. We've seen it. We've seen it at times that she has played the 4 at times, and it's DeWanna Bonner. DeWanna Bonner doesn't have the size really to play the 4, but you can kind of hide her a bit on defense, especially if she's on the floor with Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham can guard 4s, and they can play a little bit of zone. They can do a lot of things. So I do think with DeWanna Bonner, that's the first choice. DeWanna Bonner would probably cost them every cent of their cap space, and they would have to effectively choose between the 19th pick, 20th pick, Victoria Saxton, and I think Christy Wallace on guaranteed money, so you can't cut Christy Wallace. You can't cut Christy Wallace without taking a cap hit, or Saxton. It's going to be between Saxton and the 2 second rounders. And again, the reason why they traded the 8th pick was that if they trade the 8th pick, basically they would have almost certainly had to cut the 8th pick or cut Grace Berger, which was never really gonna happen. So like it made more sense for them to get rid of that pick. But when it comes to the Mercury, with their salary situation, like their salary is like it's expected that DeWanna Bonner is going to go to Phoenix Mercury. So for the Phoenix Mercury, front office did a salary dump of multiple stars and rotation players this week. Made room for Thomas and Sabally. According to Spotrac, their salary cap sheet moved from 4th to 3rd most after those trade. They're behind number 2 Seattle. They're behind number 2 Seattle and the expansion team Golden State Valkyries at the top. So that's like not an ideal situation. So how much cap space do they have? Obviously, they got off 100k, they got off 200k, like 350k. So they get a lot. There's basically Kalia Copper is going to get a supermax. Alyssa Thomas is going to get a supermax, and Satu is going to get a supermax. So the three of them are. It says the cap space just short of 700k. It's if Taurasi doesn't return. There's also a possibility Mercury hosting with DeWanna Bonner. She was paid 200k last year. Phoenix is one of Bonner's 2 finalists. I would guess maybe Indiana. No one knows who this other finalist is, by the way. So it is almost certain that DeWanna Bonner goes to the Mercury. But a lot of people, when they're talking about the extra pieces, and this would be not a disaster, but this would be like a what the feck are you doing? This would go against everything the Fever are currently doing right now. A lot of people are like, sign Aerial Powers. Why? Because she makes TikToks. She streams. She wants to come to the Fever. She's doing everything she can. She's done everything she can since Caitlin Clark's been in the league to get to the Fever. No. You're going to waste your entire cap space on Aerial Powers, who doesn't play a positional need and is going to be an end-of-the-bench player. What, she had 4 points last year or something, didn't she? Am I right in saying that? Like, and also, Aerial Powers has barely played basketball. Like, we can be real. Like, sorry, no, she averaged 8 last year. Wow. She only played 17 games last year. If you look at the game logs for Aerial Powers, if you look at her career stats, she's played 17, 20. She's played over 30 games 3 times in her career. 32, 12, 15, 9, 30, 6. She played 6 games. Well, I think I was actually 6 out of 12, to be fair. 14, 35, 20, 17. And had such a bad falling out with Cheryl Reeve that Cheryl Reeve won't even speak to her. No, you don't. Do not waste all that money on Aerial Powers. I don't think she's a bad player, but like not as the like genuinely Aerial Powers. They have to get this right. They have to get it right if they're going to spend the money. Tina Charles as a backup center is an interesting one. That probably means you have to trade Damaris Dantas. In my opinion, that's what Tina Charles does. Tina Charles basically means you go and trade Damaris Dantas for a power forward. You find a power forward and you trade Dantas for that power forward if you bring in Tina Charles. There's a possibility of that. Tina Charles would be an unbelievable backup point guard, and I do think she's going to be a backup point guard somewhere. Or say not backup point guard, backup center somewhere. But I don't know. I think it could be the ace. So she can literally go wherever she wants to come off the bench. She'd be the best backup center in the W. Other players that would be interesting, like you have to look at power forwards. Monique Billings is off the board. They're not going to be able to get Emily Engstler, nor are they going to be able to trade for Emily Engstler. Emily Engstler would be great as a backup. Alicia Clark's going to go back to Vegas. Although, if they really want to vet, I'm not opposed to playing Alicia Clark a power forward as a bench power forward like she did for the Aces. I would not be opposed to that. For that. I know she's old. I know she's going to be old next year. I would not be opposed to that. I would be very opposed to Maisha Hines-Allen. I wouldn't hate getting Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, but again, she's going to go and start probably for the Aces if she stands there. But it really is like, if you can't get DeWanna Bonner, for me, you got to look overseas. So Emma Mason-Man it's not looking like the Fever on her shortlist. Apparently, it's looking like it's just going to be the Sun. I think the Sun and the Lynx are the 2 teams that are in for her. But at the same time, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not too opposed to that. You can, for me, the player that I would look to bring in has been from the start. Like with Natasha Howard, that was like an early one being like, you know what, this is a player I can bring in. How many videos you will see on this channel called Forget Satu about bringing in Tijan Salon's sister. Janelle is a hooper. She's like ranked ahead of Natasha Howard for MVP in EuroLeague. She's playing against she might be playing against Ireland soon enough, but like she is superb. She's absolutely superb. Like look, she wasn't unbelievable at the Olympics, but she's young, she's getting better. She's 6'2", she plays the 3, she plays the 4. She's got good length. She doesn't really have any flaws as a player. So I would see whatever the max amount of money you can give her to come over is. And she was spotted in Washington not too long ago. So, yeah, the Fever have that type of money to make a big splash. And I think they're going to do it. There is one last trade or one last free agency signing they can make. And they're just off the top of my head. I will definitely do a video where I basically rank all of the... Or I'll talk about all of the potential options and then put them into an old tier list and stuff. But I'm going to wait until we see what DeWanna Bonner's decision. So, is for that, to make that video. So at the same time, like, we'll know... we'll know what's going on then, because I think DeWanna Bonner's decision will be made the next day. Either the Fever have a championship team, or the Fever could have a high contender team that could mess about and improve and become a champion. But anyway, yeah, that is the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think the Fever should have just kept the 8th pick and ran with a whole chunk of salary cap space? Or, and not even ran with a whole bunch of salary cap space, got a free agent for 100k on the cheap that wasn't going to do much? Or do you guys think that the Fever should have done what they did to give themselves 170k to put them in the race for DeWanna Bonner, to put them in the race for whatever high-tier free agents are left, because they can pay not quite a max, but a 40k off a max, which some players might be willing to take that type of cut to go to Indiana. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.